This weekend I did play quite a lot of the beta weekend and found myself thoroughly enjoying it first off. Second off, this is over the mounts and my opinion of the Raptor in and of itself. I have played a lot of MMOs over the years. I started with RuneScape, went to World of Warcraft, Guild Wars, the Old Republic, which came out at the same time as Guild Wars 2, and Guild Wars 2. When they made the announcement over mounts, I was thrilled. Thrilled more than anything else, because as a long-time MMO player, one of the things I've enjoyed the most about, say, the Old Republic and World of Warcraft was the ability to have mounts. What I didn't like is you could buy certain mounts and find basically a copy-paste of that mesh or skin with just a different color. And so we get into Guild Wars 2's mounts and the fact that you can actually dye them. And I absolutely adore this because it means that while they might reuse the mesh for something else, they're not going to be reusing it as a mount, because generally speaking, the only thing you can do to change up a mesh is to give it a different skin color. And they already gave us that ability with the dyes, which is super nice to me. It means that I can customize my mount. It can look different. It can have a more unique dye if I say choose one of my rarer dyes, like a bloody red dye or shadow abyss. Any of the dyes that you think about, you can basically put on your mount, and I loved this about it. However, what I liked the most about the mount was the animations. At one point, your mount will go into an idle animation where it starts thumping its foot as you scratch it, and its tongue will loll out, and then you'll just hit your reins and the mount will stand back up. That animation is so beautiful and so smooth that I can tell that the devs put a lot of love and care into this Raptor, and I can't wait to see what they do with the other three. However, with this mount, there's also something very different compared to the motion that you would get from a mount, say, in World of Warcraft, even with the flying mounts in World of Warcraft. There is a smoother control that makes the mounts feel almost real as you try to run around the world. There's a very, very slight delay when you press, say, the D key, or if you prefer the arrow keys, the right arrow key, in the mount turning right. And this made it feel very realistic to me. I have ridden horseback before. I actually used to be a horseback rider. I didn't compete or anything, but I was a horseback rider. And you could always feel a very slight delay when you tugged the horse's rein to go right or left, or even to start moving. It is the registering of the movement for the horse from your command. And you felt that with this mount, and it made it feel so much more immersive and more realistic to me that you can just tell how much detail and effort the devs put into this, and I adored it. However, at the same time, it did cause me to run into several walls or hit several things in the beginning that I probably wouldn't have hit if it was a mount like World of Warcraft or the Old Republic. Still, I wouldn't take and ask them to please make this different, because the way that the mount is just feels so unique and so beautiful. And I love the fact that also the mount is not just a cosmetic item. It is like your glider, which is kind of a cosmetic item because you have different gliders, and let's all admit it, we've looked at each other's gliders as people have glided just to see what they did. And the mount in and of itself is going to be like the glider in the fact that you get to use it to traverse the world. As you can probably see in the video in the background during the race, I am using the mount to leap over distances, and it allows you to jump gaps you could not jump unless maybe you have the glider and the jump that you're making is lower down. However, even gaps that are like that, you can't jump with your glider. I have tried. You hit the wall and fall down. But this means that the mount in and of itself is going to be something that you use in the world. It has more value to it. It makes you really miss it when you, say, go back to the base game currently that is not the demo game, and you're like, God dang it, if I had my mount I could traverse this a lot faster, or I could jump this little gap here, and you end up missing the mount. There is a real bond there compared to other MMOs. Some of the things I don't like about the mount, however, is the fact that you do have limited jumps. I do get why this is, and I guess in the long run I will love it because of the fact that at least the bar does not actually share your dodge roll. Your endurance on the mount is a separate endurance from yourself. It has the same amount of dodges that you do. I haven't tested it out on a thief to see this, but you do end up having your endurance be on your own character when you demount, and your endurance on your mount being separate. Also, something I absolutely do like is the fact that a mount has a visible health bar. I cannot tell you how many times in a video game where I'm riding around my mount and I'm in combat suddenly and I'm running, and then the mount will just despawn because it runs out of health. And you have no idea how much health you have left. It is so nice that they decided to give us that, and I love that idea. Because, say, another game that I play a lot on this channel, Dragon Age. You got mounts in Dragon Age Inquisition, and I love those mounts. However, in combat only, because if you fall off of a giant cliff in the Inquisition, your mount doesn't die. Your mount will be killed, and you'll be forced into combat. This is something that I like about Guild Wars 2's system, is it shows you the health bar and how much you have left of your mount's health. So you can prepare yourself for that combat and, say, use your tail sweep to engage. And that is another thing I love about the mounts, is the tail sweep. I ground out the first 2 masteries within the first hour or 2 of the game launching, and ended up, well, the demo launching, not the game, and ended up seeing the tail sweep in action when it pulls all the mounts together. And I must admit, I got into the habit of when I would start a battle, I would jump in with my mount while playing my ranger, tail sweep to pull all the mobs together, and then drop my trap the second that that was off the mount. And it was just amazing because it made all of the mobs that were around me hit that trap, and it meant that I was doing more damage. Also, the tail sweep is a slight break bar hit, so one of the things that I also noticed while playing this game, I ended up in a small Zerg for the bounties the first day, and we would all rush into the bounty, use our tail sweep ability, and those of us who actually had the second tier unlocked actually ended up doing damage to the break bar, because that tail sweep that pulls ends up being something that breaks the break bar a little bit. It does damage to the break bar because it's pulling them. And that was super nice to see. It was very amazing, and I can't wait to see what this does in larger Zergs with those bounties. We'll go over bounties in a separate video, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video and learn a little bit about the difference between the mounts in this game, World of Warcraft, and the Old Republic. What do you guys think of Guild Wars 2's mounts versus other MMOs? If you have played something like World of Warcraft or the Old Republic, I would love to hear your thoughts and opinions over their mounts versus those other MMOs that have mounts in the comment section down below. Thank you so much for watching, and I shall see you in the next Guild Wars 2 video.